Hello Python programmers. So in this video, I'm going to show you that how you can create a banking system or a money management system for your Monopoly game. Now in India, we have our own version of Monopoly game. We call it Business or Vyapar. Business was one of my favorite game in my childhood. But the money management system was pretty mess, like handling the changes, handling the corruption and the cheating. It was a big mess. So why not solve this problem of this board game using a simple Python program? So let's start this. So when the game is started, you have to uh, enter how many players are playing this game. So let's say 4 players are playing. So we have to write the names. First is A, let's say. Second is B. Third is C. And fourth is D. Okay. So we have this dashboard of our Monopoly Bank. We have our player's name, A, B, C, D, and we have the initial money. Now, I guess I don't have to explain you the rules of how Monopoly works, just a general overview. The game is started with a initial amount for all the players. Each player can buy stuff or sell stuff. If someone comes to your stuff, they have to pay the rent. And yeah, this is a broad overview or a general explanation of how business works. So let's say that player one just bought a place, let's say Lucknow. Okay. So let's say Lucknow was for 5,000. Okay. So 5,000 must be deducted from this A's account. Okay. So, okay, 5,000 is deducted. Now, let's say C landed to Lucknow. So, C has to pay A some rent. So, let's say 500 is the rent. So, C has to pay A some rent, 500. So, 500 will be deducted from C and 500 will be added to A. Okay. So this is a paperless, no transaction fees Monopoly bank. And yeah, this is what we are going to create in this video. This is going to be very simple and really fun to create. Okay. So let's move on to our editor so that we can start writing our code. Okay, so now we are into our editor. So first thing that you have to do is we have to import the required libraries. Now the library required for this project is Tkinter to create our GUI, and we don't have to install this because it comes pre-installed with vanilla Python installation. So from Tkinter, we need to import star or import all. Then let's start creating our GUI. Okay, so we have to create a TK instance or a Tkinter instance. So TK instant root is the instance variable. Now root dot geometry, we have to specify that what will be the length and breadth of our GUI. So let's say 400 by 400. Now this is the length of the login page where the number of users and the name of users is asked. Okay, we'll create the main page afterwards. One more thing we can do is we can disable the resize. So resizable will be false and false. Okay, so x-axis cannot be, sorry, the x length cannot be resized, and same the y length cannot be resized. Okay, so in the login GUI we have 4 components, actually 1 2 3 4 5 6 components. Okay, so 3 are the labels. First is the main heading Monopoly Bank, then we have the number of players label and the enter name label to enter the player's name. Then we have entry box for both of these label, for the number of players and for the name of the players. Then we have a submit button to submit the names. Okay, so let's create these widgets. Okay, so we have created our login page here. I have already explained you that we have created the class instance of Tkinter. Then we have specified that what will be the height and width of our Tkinter window. Then we have specified that we don't want our Tkinter GUI to be resized. Okay, then we have this six components. First of all is the heading or the title, which is Monopoly Bank. So this is a label. First parameter here is root, the Tkinter instance or the GUI on which we want to draw this label. Then we have the text that will be displayed on the screen. Then the font, which is default, the style is bold, and the size is 20. Then we have placed this at x is equal to 110 and y is equal to 14. Then same we have done for the number of players label, and for this name label, sorry, only the placement x and y axis has been changed. Okay, then we have our two entry widgets. First entry widget for our number of players, and the second is for the name of the players. So we have this entry widget here. So entry keyword, then the first parameter here is root, the GUI on which we want to draw this Tkinter entry widget, the border width or the border thickness of this entry box is 5 units, okay, which is pretty moderate. Then we have specified that at what x and y axis this entry box will be placed, and what will be the width of this entry box, and what will be the height of this entry box. We have done the same for our name entry box also, only the values of the location are changed here. Yeah, right, only the y-axis values are changed. Then finally we have a button, which is the submit button. First value here is root, as we know, Tkinter instance. Then we have the text that will be displayed on our button. Then we have the function that this button will trigger. So this submit function will be triggered as soon as this submit button is pressed. Okay, and the parameter passed in this function is this number of players, this entry widget value. So number of players dot get, we are getting the value which is present in this number of player entry widget. Okay, then this border of our button is 1, the height of a button is 2, and the width of a button is 20. Then we have placed it at x is equal to 150 and y is equal to 160. We have closed our main loop. Let's run our Python program to see. Okay, so we are having an error, nothing as Tkinter, because it should be small t. Okay, expected integer but got 20. The comma placement is wrong. Just a second. Yeah. Okay, so we have a fully functional entry GUI of our Monopoly game. So let's see. 4 players. Okay, so our button is working properly. Okay, so let's move ahead. Now we have to continue with this submit function. But before what we have to do is we have to create two variables. First, a list to store the names of our players. So let's say name list, and this will be a empty list, a name list. Then a number variable, which I'll explain you in just a bit. So number is equal to 0. Okay. So let's move inside this function and let's start writing this. Let me give some space first. Okay. First, we have to call these global variables. So name list and global number. Then if name dot get, it should be get. So what we are doing here is we are extracting the value which is present in this name entry widget. So if there is something present in this name entry widget, then we want to write that name to our name list. Okay, and if this entry widget is empty, we have to simply skip adding any character to our name list. Okay, so if the name dot get is not equal to empty, then what we'll do name list dot append, and what we'll append name dot get, and what we'll also do is we'll do number is equal to number plus 1. So let me first write, then I'll explain you that what is the reason behind the increment of this value. Okay, so let's see what is happening here. But first of all, let me indent it. The indentation is wrong. Okay, so I have explained you till here. If the name widget is not empty, we'll add the value present in this name widget to our name list, and then we are incrementing the value of number by 1. Okay, so initially the value of number was 0. This is a random variable whose value is 0. Okay, so after each time the button is pressed and there is something present in the name widget, the number value is incremented by 1. Now, if this number is equal to the number of players, which is the value entered in this number of players entry widget, then we'll destroy our Tkinter GUI, because this is what we want. We want to enter a specific number of players name. So let's say that we have 4 players. Okay, so the value of this number of players is 4. First, in this name variable, let's say we enter A. Okay, first time the button is pressed. Okay, so the name list is empty for now. The number is also 0. This if condition is true, because the name widget is not empty, the name list will be appended by A and the number will become 1. Okay, then it will enter the second value, third value, and fourth value. And for the second, third, and fourth time, the button will be pressed. So the value of this number will be increased to 4, which will be equal to the number of players entry widget value. So this condition will be true. We'll start a new function where we'll have our new GUI or a game dashboard GUI, and the previous one will be destroyed. Okay, so let's run this. Let's run our program. Okay, so this is our Monopoly Bank. Let's say we have 2 players and let's write some random things here. Okay, so it's working. The GUI was destroyed exactly after 2 times the button was pressed. So this part is working perfectly. And also we are printing the name list or the number of players which is present in this game screen function. Okay, so this is also working. Okay, so now we have to create a new GUI for our game dashboard. Okay, okay, so the drill is same here. We have created the Tkinter class instance. Then we have specified the geometry, the height and width of our Tkinter window. And then we have set the resizability of our Tkinter GUI to false and false for both X and Y. Okay. Now first will be the Monopoly Bank label. So let me copy the same one from here and simply indent it. Okay. The root will be changed to screen. The x and y remains the same. Then we have to create a few variables. Place y. I'll explain you that why we are creating these variables. Let me first write the code, then I'll explain you. So initial money is equal to 30,000. Then the money list will be empty. Okay, so first what we are doing here is we are populating this money list with the initial money. And what will be the length of this money list? The number of players that are playing. Okay, so for I in name list, we want to append the money. It should be money dot append, and what will be appended? The initial money. So in the starting of the game, this money list will be populated with this initial money for all the players. Okay, then what we have to do is we have to display the names of the player and the money that they possess. Okay, so for let's say J, let's change the variable name here. For J in name list, we have to create 2 variables. So name drop label. So this label will display the names of our player. So screen, not game screen, simply screen. The Tkinter instance. Okay, so what is happening here is, first of all, we have created this for loop. So for j in name list, first we have to display the name of the player. So first label to display the name of the player, the text is stored in this j variable. So text is equal to j. The size is 16 and it is bold. It is placed at x is equal to 20 and y is equal to place of y, or this 80 value. So for the first variable or for the first name in the name list, the location will be 20 and 80. And for the money, it will be 20 and 80. Okay. After that, the value of place y will be incremented by 80 again, so that we can give a good padding or the good spacing between two names and two monetary values. Okay, then again the second names come, it will be displayed and the money will also be displayed. Okay, so this is how we'll display the name of the players and the initial money that they possess. Okay, then what we have to do is we have to create the drop down, the button and the entry widget for first which player is performing the action, then whether we have to add the money or we have to subtract the money, then the amount that will be added or subtracted, then the submit button. So these are the widgets that we are going to create. So let me quickly write the code first. Okay. Okay, so let's see what we have done till now. So I have already explained you that how we are creating a new Tkinter GUI and then displaying the player's name and the money that they possess. Then what we have done is we have created these widgets. First is select the player label. Then we have a drop down menu which will have the name of our player. So how is that working? Let's see. So first is this selected name string variable. This is the variable that we'll use when we are calling the value from this drop down menu. Okay, so we are setting the default value as player's name. So this will be the default value of this drop down menu. And then here we are creating this option menu or this drop down menu. So first is the screen, the Tkinter GUI instance. Then we have the selected dname or this string variable. The value of this option menu will be stored in this selected dname. Then we have the name list or the list of the drop down value. So we have this name list or the list in which our players name are saved. Then we have placed this at a specific position. Then we are creating the label for our option, which is whether to add or to deduct. So we are doing the same thing here. Buy or sell is a string variable. Okay, when we are setting it default value as select option, then we are creating a buys or sell variable which will have this list. This list will have two values, add or deduct. And as we know, this option menu will have three values or three parameters. First is the Tkinter GUI instance, then the value that this option menu will store, and then the drop down value. So we haven't placed it, right? So buy or sell dot place. So x is equal to 160 and y is equal to 450, I guess. This is nice value. Okay, so then we are creating the label for amount and then the entry widget which will take the amount value from the user. Then this button will send all these value. First is the Tkinter instance, then we have the name list. Name list is the name of the students, the name of the players. Then we have money, which is the list in which the money of each player will be saved. Then the initial money is 30,000. Then we have selected name. Selected name is okay. So this selected name is the player name from this drop down menu. Then we have buy or sell dot get. Buy or sell dot get is okay. So this drop down menu for whether we have to add or to subtract, then amount dot get, we are getting the value from this amount entry widget. Okay, so yeah, this was the part for the front end of our dashboard. Let's work on the back end or this score function. So first of all, what we have to do is, okay, so let's check whether till now the code is working. Yeah, I know. Okay, so we have to add a comma here. No new file, just a second. Let's run this again. Okay, so this is running. Let's write 3 here and some random shit. Okay, so we are having an error. String var has no attribute as option menu. Okay, so the value of the y is also a bit much, and also we are getting a error on the second drop down menu. The first one is working. Yeah, it's working perfectly. So we have to do two things. First of all, we have to reduce the value here, and then we have to see that what was the error in the second one. Okay, so this should be a equal to sign. Let's run this again. Let's say 3. Let's write some random things. Okay, so we are getting the GUI as we intended it to be. So let's do one thing. The player name working perfectly. This option working perfectly. Let's write some value here. Click submit. We are not getting any error. So code is working fine. Okay. So yeah, till now the code is working perfectly. Let's move on and let's work on the back end of our dashboard. So first what we have to do is we have to get the player's name, right? So first of all, what we'll do is, let me comment this out. What we'll do is we'll create a index variable to get the index of the name from our name list. So name list dot index name. So here we'll get the index of the name that the user has selected on this name list. Then if the BIOS cell is equal to add, whether it was all caps or all small, let me see. Okay, all caps. So add, then what we'll do is we'll create a new variable, let's say amount added. Now the amount added will be integer. Money is the list in which the money of each player is saved. So money of the index. Okay. So we are extracting the value which is present at this index. And what is this index? This is the index of the name that the user has selected. Okay. And this will be added with integer of amount. Then we have to replace the value. Money is equal to actually money dot index is equal to index amount added. Okay, so now the value is replaced, and now let's do the same for deduction also. Then what we have to do is, the task is almost done. What we have to do is add it, just a second. Then we have to config our labels that are displaying the money of each player. Okay, so we'll write 80, not 480, it should be 80. Okay. Okay, so we are creating for I, it should be I here. So for I in money, we are changing the value in our money label. So it will be at the exact position where our previous one was. So the text this time will be I, the value of the specific player. Okay. And yeah, after each iteration, the value will be added with 35. So let's see whether it's working or not. So 4 players, let's say A, B, C, D. So A, B, C, D. Okay. So this part is working fine. Let's say player A is added with 5,000. Okay, so we are having a error, has option menu has no attribute as get. Okay. Okay, so the variable name is same. The variable name is same. So let me change the variable name. Okay, so let's say 4 players, some random things, some random things, some random things, some random things. Okay, so all the players' name are displayed. Let's select a player. Let's add the value. Let's say any random value. So yep, it's working. Let's try for another player and let's try deduct. Okay, so it's working. This is it. This was a small video in which I've shown you that how you can create a money management or a banking system for your own Monopoly game. Okay, so meet you in my next lecture. Bye bye.